Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm Sam Cole with the Colorado Department of Transportation. So glad everybody's here for last day of Lifesavers. We have saved the best for last. We have some incredible speakers. Just show of hands, how many people actually stepped outside yesterday to see the eclipse? Okay, all right. So we didn't get a great show here in Colorado, but nice that some people did do that. And traffic safety scholars, raise your hand. So glad you're here. Okay. Okay, come on in. This is going to be a fast-paced session. We have 5 people presenting. Great programs to showcase. And let's get underway. The official title of this presentation, as you know, is Innovative Programs to Improve Driver Behavior. The 5 presenters, actually, we got a couple people that are going to tag team. First up is going to be Katie Mueller of the National Safety Council. Then, then Tom Iverson from Keep Kids Alive, Drive 25. Then Jillian Garrigues is going to tag team with Josie, Derrick. They're both from Boise. Josie is from a local school there, and Jillian is from the State Department of Transportation. And then last but not least, we have Joel Feldman from enddistracteddriving.org. So I'm going to start just by reading Katie's little bio here. She is a senior program manager for mobility safety at the National Safety Council. She specializes in developing and implementing evidence-based countermeasure programs for transportation. Prior to NSC, Katie worked in traffic safety as the assistant director for the Oklahoma Highway Safety Office. She is a crash survivor, a child passenger safety instructor, and serves on the TRB Committee for Impairment in Transportation. Katie.
Thank you, Sam. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for hanging with us on the last day, the last morning of Lifesavers. I'm Katie Mueller, and I work at National Safety Council. I'm going to start just with talking a little bit about NSC. People often ask me, why employers? So that's what I'm going to talk about today, is kind of where do employers fit in your program? Where could you utilize employers to talk about traffic safety or help reach families talking about traffic safety? The program that I'm going to talk about today is called Our Driving Concern. It's a program that's funded primarily by state highway safety offices and some other funds. You'll see the states that we're currently operating in on the screen. Nebraska is led by our National Safety Council chapter in Nebraska. But I'll talk a little bit about how we are working with the states and ways that we've engaged them along the way. Our goal is really to build state-specific resources to increase employer education and bring employee programs into the highway safety plan and into the traffic safety realm, using those evidence-based countermeasures to reduce crashes and, of course, serious injuries and fatalities. So people often ask, why employers? And who are employers? Who are employees? What is workplace safety? If you're here today as part of your job, you are in our target audience. You are an employee. You are receiving information as part of your job. So that's kind of how we look at it. And we worked recently with University of Texas School of Social Work to kind of understand why employers and why that audience is important. So I think they came up with a great kind of synopsis of this. I'm going to read it, it's on the screen, but employers are an essential catalyst to improving roadway safety for their employees, employee families, and community at large. Employer buy-in for workplace traffic safety will bolster education and facilitate a cultural shift, which is why we're all here, right? And so if you think about receiving information that you receive from your employer, whether that's You have high blood pressure, so here's some steps to kind of counteract that. What do you get from your insurance company? We think that traffic safety should be one of those priorities that are talked about in the workplace. So one of the things that we asked the University of Texas to kind of help us understand is evaluation, right? Because we all need it. It's important to what we do, and if we're not doing it, we can't prove that our programs are making a difference. And so the Levely logic model, if you've worked in public health or you've worked, in traffic safety for a long time, you're probably familiar. But so what we want is obviously to reduce traffic incidents, right? That's our big goal, to reduce crashes, reduce injuries. But how do we do that? We look at the number of workers that we're training, the number of programs that we're using, how many companies are being reached, and then we're asking employers, did you take that information and share it with others outside of the workplace? Can you tell us how you did that? Did you share it with family? Did you share it with other, non-employee community members? And so we try to do surveys post all of our training to understand that. How do we know our information is being shared and being utilized like we hoped? So here is just a quick short video about we like to call our program turnkey because we think that employers can just take it and use it as it is.
Turnkey is a term often used to describe a ready-to-use product or service. In the transportation safety world, when you think of turnkey, you think of the Our Driving Concern Texas Employer Traffic Safety Program. We provide education, training, and resources to help you reduce exposure to risky driving behaviors. You turn the key and steer employees towards safety. The cost? Nothing. It's free. We work with risk managers, safety leaders, and HR professionals to build driver and traffic safety programs. You save money and save lives. Our driving concern is your key to safety.
So that was produced for Texas, but it's really our program in a nutshell. And we really aim to create and provide resources that employers can use in health and safety programs that are already happening. Or if they don't have something, they can utilize our products and programs exclusively. We've seen great results in a couple of the states that we've been working in, and these are just some examples of the resources that we really make flexible and we tailor them to the state. One of the things that I'm really proud of, having worked in a highway safety office, is our approach in Texas is very strategic. We go to the highway safety plan and we understand where are their priority program areas, where is the crash data saying that crashes are happening, and then we go find employers in those areas to help them make traffic safety a part of what's happening in that community. Get those employers to the table at the community coalition meetings for traffic safety. If there's a large employer in the state or in the city where we're having tons of crashes, they absolutely have a responsibility to help bring that crash rate down. So we do a lot of that, and I think that's one of the things that I'm the most proud of this program is it's really tailored to crash data and tailored to what's happening in the state. We also have a recognition program where we recognize employers who we think are doing a great job. In innovative programs, just like we're talking about today, things like AI technology, driver monitoring, telematics. Employers have a lot of, resources that those of us who work in government or those of us who work in nonprofit don't necessarily have. And so they can go and buy technology, invest in technology, invest in tools to help, the safety programs in their companies, and then so we like to recognize them, and this is just an example of some of the organizations that have received awards from us in the past. This program is also was recognized as a best practice in Texas's latest impaired driving assessment. And so again, we are very involved in what's happening on the state level, and we received a commendation in the assessment and recommended expansion of our program. So we're continuing to do that, continuing to look to Texas for leadership and all the other states that we work in, looking to their highway safety office to tell us, where are the gaps, where are the things that you need help with, where can we help engage employers in traffic safety in your state. So these are the offices that we're working with. Some of them give us grants, and some of them are just partners, and some of them are kind of standalone programs. We've had 16 years of great partnership in Texas. This is the first year that we're partnering with Ohio's Office of Traffic Safety. Ohio's in the house. Great. Okay, fantastic. And then also working with Ohio DOT, they developed an employer program, and they were kind of just waiting for the right time to launch it. And we were able to come in and kind of marry those two programs together and really build something hopefully that will be impactful for Ohio. Again, a new partner in Louisiana Highway Safety Commission. That focus is primarily impaired driving because that is an area that they told us they need help in. And so we're really trying to understand the impaired driving landscape and get employers to understand how they can make a difference in impaired driving in Louisiana. And then our Nebraska chapter of the National Safety Council really takes our driving concern programs and materials and makes it their own in Nebraska, delivers the program as part of their just chapter activities. All of the resources available, of course, for free for those employers as well. So that's just a snapshot of our program. If you're interested in learning more about it, scan the QR code and that'll take you to our landing page, and then you can check out all the different states and the programs and resources that we offer in those states. That's it for me.
Thank you, Katie. And actually, I am sold. I love that program, and I would love to actually bring it to Colorado, so we will be in touch. The next presenter is Tom Iverson. He's an educator who has been working in traffic safety for more than 25 years. He is the founder and executive director of Keep Kids Alive Drive 25, whose initiatives have been implemented in over 1,700 communities in 49 states. He works with schools, law enforcement, city leaders, businesses, and civic organizations to create community-wide public awareness campaigns. The past 3 years, Tom has worked with communities in Detroit, St. Louis, and Phoenix to address traffic safety in under-resourced communities through the support of a General Motors grant. Tom and his wife, Wendy, live in Omaha. Tom.
Thank you. I'll make one correction. My last name is Everson. There probably are Scandinavian roots there somewhere and all. But, as our first slide notes, our mission is simply to make streets safer for all who walk, cycle, play, drive, and ride. So I would imagine that includes all of us in this room. And it's an ambitious mission, which I think all our missions should be ambitious. They should stretch us. And, as Sam mentioned, working with communities all over the country the last 25 years has taught me a great deal about community engagement. Because at the core of what I work with communities is to try to create initiatives that work to engage residents or citizens as a frontline solution to the problems, the challenges that we face on the road. Because I figure if we're the speeders, the stop sign runners, the people who won't put our cell phones down, we need to change our behavior, and we need to become part of that process, not something that we're just told to do, but become engaged in. So these projects, let me put my glasses on so I push the right button. These projects over the last 3 years in Detroit, St. Louis, and Phoenix have been very grassroots initiatives that are rooted in the community with community leaders leading the way. And so I'm going to share 3 videos with you where they'll share their stories. I do not have a video that I'll share of St. Louis, and I'll tell you why, because they went a little different direction with their initiative. And it's wonderful. It's just so involved. They're creating a documentary to tell the stories of families of victims of hit-and-run driving. And So it's a much more broad project, and the projects that I'll share with you in Detroit and then 2 in Phoenix, there are community-based initiatives that they created. And I'll share the videos and then comment. Do I push the down, you said? Okay.
The situation with speeding in Highland Park has gotten out of hand. Drivers are running the red lights. They are speeding down residential streets. They do it at night. They speed during the day.
The latest thing now is to run stop signs.
Just think about what that would feel like if you actually injured or killed someone, and would you want to have to face that?
Just take a moment to slow down. You may save someone's life.
I have to look both ways twice, because my mom says I have to make sure I'm being safe.
We want to keep kids alive, and so we need for you to drive 25. The speeding problem in Highland Park is very intimate to me. In 2007, on September the 23rd, my son Jacoby Ra was involved in a hit-and-run accident. He died. He was 2 years, 1 month, and 6 days old, and the driver just left the scene.
As a mother, for a mother, it's unimaginable to me to think about losing my children. That little boy was precious to so many people. And we lost him. We lost him prematurely. He was stolen from us because somebody was just driving stupidly.
We commissioned a local artist. We did that mural so that we can slow down the speeding, so that the drivers could actually see something as they're approaching, something beautiful.
When you reduce speeds, you reduce the probability of injury.
I love the effort of everybody coming together because this is our community. We have to do something. We just can't sit back and do nothing.
Okay, I just want to comment a little bit about the Highland Park project. One of the things that they decided to do, they said, we have a thriving arts community in Highland Park, and we're going to engage the arts community, which resulted in the street mural. And a lot of times people might think, well, you shouldn't put paint on a street, and we're going to create another distraction. What was interesting during the course of this project, hopefully some of us in this room are familiar with Streets blog, and there was a study that was highlighted in the June 2022 edition that talked about how when you put a street mural in an intersection with a high crash rate, that they found that the crash rates came down 50%. And kind of what I like to refer to this as reverse tagging. Instead of, claiming this territory and, don't come in this area, this is ours, it's reclaiming that space as community space and doing that in a beautiful way. They're planning another street mural in the next year in Highland Park. Also, they engaged their arts community in creating the yard signage that they used for starting out their campaign. And I'm just going to leave it at that right now because we've got other things to look at. So this is the Estrella neighborhood in Phoenix, and Officer Gallegos is going to be our narrator on this. Rosa, she founded this organization called the Estrella Super Moms, and they are super moms. They are not going to let their neighborhood go downhill in any way, shape, or form. And so their concern about traffic is obviously what drove our initiative. Rosa was not confident enough to be the narrator. I know she could have done it, but Officer Gallegos stepped in, and I said to somebody earlier this morning, I said, Officer Gallegos, he knows who's in charge. It's not like saying, well, I raised myself without my mother. It's like, no, Rosa's the mom. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Officer Chris Gallegos with the Phoenix Police Department. I'm a community action officer out of the Maryville Estrella precinct. I'm here today with Rosa Menjivar. Rosa is the president of the Block Watch group, Estrella Supermoms. Worked on several projects, worked on community cleanups, and I've been a big supporter of what they do. They do graffiti cleanouts. They're always out here doing stuff in the community. We've been working on a project together for several years. Want to talk about the No Need to Speed project. Started in 2020, and the ladies here put together this idea and project. Had some good luck with some grant money and some funding. They presented it to the Cartwright School District, and it started here at Estrella. And that's where we're here today at Estrella Junior High in the West Valley. Since that time, they've grown this project into 20 schools throughout the district. Every single school throughout the district is now has this sign in front of their school, letting people know to slow down when they're driving past the school. We've done some special enforcement, educating the public, educating people about this particular area, which is 75th Avenue and Indian School area. One of the things that I want to talk about is the Hawk. The Hawk is right down the street here, goes to 75th Avenue. It's a location where kids frequently pass across the street, and it was a great tool, great success on Rosa's part, working with the city of Phoenix and the streets department, trying to get a Hawk signal. And what a Hawk signal is, basically it's a light that slows traffic down when kids are crossing the street. 75th Avenue is a very busy street here in the West Valley, and it's been a huge success. I think that it's just a testament to the hard work that these ladies do in supporting not only the junior high here with Estrella Junior High, but supporting all the schools in the West Valley. I think it's a great idea, a great concept, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
You know, a few comments. Rosa, in June of 2021, and is very distinct in my memory, is she called me up and she said, "Tom, you need to come walk 75th Avenue with me." And it was almost like if you had a 4 or 5 year old child, not that she was being childish, but it was like a 4 or 5 year old child saying, you know, "Dad, please come and see this." And so in September of 2021, I did walk 75th Avenue with Rosa, and it was a 113-degree day in Phoenix. Yeah, I really felt it. But the thing, it was heartrending. There are so many memorials on that roadway of kids who were simply trying to cross the street to get to school or to get home. And so this project was so needed. And our funding each year from GM was between $30,000 and $37,000. So it wasn't a tremendous amount of money to split between Detroit, St. Louis, and Phoenix. So it wasn't like we were throwing lots of money at things. But one of the things that occurred to me after the first year is that in our planning process, nobody asked about the money. They were so focused on their plan that at the end of the first year, it's like, well, we need to spend this money by such and such a date. But they had a plan that the money could follow. And I always like to say, money should follow mission. Mission shouldn't follow money, otherwise the mission is to just get money. And to see that Hawk project evolve out of this, which is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in investment on the part of the city of Phoenix to create that. But that was something that grew out of a small amount of money being invested in this project. The last thing I'll just mention right now is that their logo that is on all the schools, and it's on t-shirts and it's on all kinds of stuff, it was designed by a 12-year-old girl at Estrella Middle School. The principal had an art contest, and this is the thing about partnering. You know, the principal said, we can have an art contest. 70 students submitted artwork for consideration. And for me, I think you could go to any school anywhere in America, and could you get 70 kids that would submit artwork for a project like this? Maybe you could, but they did. And those top 5 kids, probably they're going to go into graphic design, but they picked their winning entry. And so, the artwork that 12-year-old girl did is spread out all over their school district now and is making a difference that way. So those are the comments I want to make about that. So the last video is with the Perry Park neighborhood, and this is again in Phoenix.
When I see the signs and everything, it tells me, to slow down, to watch the speed, whether it's kids playing at a playground, playing in the street, and just overall watch my speed as I'm going through neighborhoods.
The campaign Check Your Speed brings awareness to the drivers to be cautious when kids or families are walking down the street or crossing the street, and it honestly has made the families feel safer to live in this neighborhood. What does Check Your Speed mean to you?
It's a reminder to drivers to bring safetyness while driving in my neighborhood and other neighborhoods. And also the signs that we have, I think they're really helpful to drivers to remind them to go the speed limit.
This Check Your Speed sign, when you started the program, I really liked it. I thought that a lot more people would be seeing it, but I realized that it was all about the education of the community, of us learning how to do better and learning how to watch our speed, because we drive through our neighborhoods and sometimes we forget that it's our neighborhood and we're supposed to be taking care of it. And we're so close to a main street here that sometimes people forget.
¿Siente que ha ayudado en el área del parque? Sí, ahorita sí. Sí, ha ayudado más porque antes no estábamos más seguros, como le digo, pues.
¿Usted se siente más segura con su velocidad?
Sí.
Sí. Es algo que le ha servido.
Sí.
Como mamá, Ojo con su velocidad ha sido una campaña muy importante para mí porque la seguridad de los niños se ha visto beneficiada. Ahora hay más personas al volante con más conciencia de cuidar la seguridad de los niños. Y como chofer me ha hecho recapacitar y pensar y estar pendiente de mi velocidad. Check Your Speed u Ojo con su velocidad ha sido una campaña muy importante, no solo en esta área, también en el sur, en el west, escuelas, muchos lugares donde hemos aprendido a concientizar y a poner más nuestra atención para la seguridad de la comunidad. Por eso les decimos siempre, check your speed.
Okay, a couple comments about Perry Park. Teresa, who is the woman who was pointing at the back of her T-shirt, she was our coordinator for that project. And again, their logo, the big owl, or the owl with the big eyes, that was designed by young people as part of their project. And one of the things Teresa told me is that, she goes, the big eyes are really important because in our culture we understand that means somebody's watching you. And all. So that was a new learning for me. I really hadn't thought about that and all. But so to me, it was a very clever way to go about that. And just a comment about each of the videos is that the first video actually was professionally made because they had in Highland Park, they had a professional video company that their representatives on their board. But the Estrella video was created by students at Arizona State University, which became partners with them in this project. And then the Perry Park video was created by a high school student, basically trying to do his first video and everything. So it's kind of neat to see the different partnerships and the ways that things played out. I'll take questions when we have the question and answer period with this, but honestly, I could talk about these things for several hours, but I'm glad to have the opportunity to give you a little bit of introduction, and let me see if I've got, well, I will mention our Keep Kids Alive Drive 25 podcast, just called the Keep Kids Alive podcast. It's accessed from our website, And actually, our last speaker, Joel, he was one of our guests on the podcast. But all of our partners that I presented to you have all been guests on our podcast as well. So you can learn a little bit more about that as well. And there's our kkad25.org is our website, and that's my email. So anyway, thank you very much for your time and attention, and we'll look forward to the question and answer.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Excellent presentation. Great stuff. Moving on to what I'm going to dub our dynamic duo, Jillian and Josie. Jillian has worked at the Idaho Department of Transportation for 4 years as a public information officer and now as a grants officer in the Office of Highway Safety. Before that, Jillian was a TV news reporter, anchor, and reporter. She graduated from Mississippi State University with degrees in public relations and broadcasting and earned her master's in strategic communications from Washington State University. And then the other half, Josie, is the lead math innovator at One Stone. One Stone is a Boise school that empowers high school students to learn and practice 21st century skills through experiential service, innovation initiatives, and the radical reinvention of learning. Love that. In addition to working with her students, Josie helped develop lesson plans for the Do the Math, Save a Life project, and led the presentation of these materials to educators at the Idaho Council of Teachers of Mathematics annual conference. So, Josie.
All right, thank you so much. We're very, very excited to have this opportunity today to talk about our Do the Math program. Do the Math is a set of algebra lesson plans using crash data in Idaho. And the whole project is a result of a great partnership between both traffic safety and STEM leaders throughout the state of Idaho. So we hope this project and presentation today inspires you, and hopefully you can take it back into your community and as well. Okay, so this is our team at the Idaho Office of Highway Safety. Our mission is, like so many of yours, to promote safe driving behaviors so we can have healthier, happier communities in Idaho and keep roads safe for all road users, whether you're walking, rolling, or riding. So ultimately, we want to reduce the number of crashes in Idaho and save lives. Our office develops the traffic safety programs through NHTSA, and we also collect the state's crash data. And law enforcement across Idaho send us their crash reports. We maintain that data, we analyze it, and then we disseminate it through our annual crash report and other public-facing outlets like our new crash data dashboards. We've actually had these for several years now, but this is a screenshot of what it looks like. I really encourage you to go online to that website and click in there and see it more in action because it's a great resource. But several years ago, we started working with New Metric or AASHTO Wear Safety. They were in the exhibit hall. Hopefully you got to talk to them, but they helped us build these crash data dashboards. They're published online with public access, so anyone can go to the website, click the link, and start looking at the data. We have a map view as well as charts, graphs, very easy to read statistics. If you're a communication person like me, you're probably not so much into math, you're more into words and writing, and it really breaks it down easy for you to understand the data, and it's really cool. You can even export the graphs so you can use them online on social media. It's been a great resource. But here's a couple of screenshots. That's the heat map that you see right when you get onto the website, but then to the left is one of those charts that you would see. It breaks down the youth crashes by day of week And of course, that's just one example. You can get in there, click around, look up crashes at specific locations or by our NHTSA focus areas, and then you can narrow down contributing factors, you can narrow down locations, all sorts of stuff. It's really cool, but it's a great tool. We've been using it in our community outreach efforts as well to learn about problems in certain areas around the state. And over the years, we've updated, we've added different dashboards based on the feedback that we've gotten from our community partners. And they've told us, hey, maybe it would be good to have a safe routes to school dashboard that takes you just to the school zones and things like that. So we've added those in over the years. But it's been a great tool for us, our whole transportation department and all of our community partners as well. So teen drivers are a huge focus of ours, ages 15 to 19. In 2022 in Idaho, more than 1 out of every 5 crashes involved a teen driver. And also in 2022, Idaho teen drivers were 2.6 times as likely to be involved in a crash as all other drivers. So a big question of our Office of Highway Safety is, how do we get through to teens and educate them on safe driving behaviors? And we knew we had to get into the schools. We knew we had these great crash data dashboards, and they pair together so well with STEM programs, science, technology, engineering, and math. So if you think back to high school, maybe you've got kids in school now. So often when you're at home, sitting down to do your homework, so often the question comes up as, when am I ever going to use this in the real world? When am I ever going to? It happens all the time. So our goal through this project was to encourage safe driving behaviors in teens, get safer teens driving on the road, but also teach them the real world applications of math. So we reached out to the Idaho STEM Action Center, the Idaho Department of Education, and the regional mathematics centers to see how we could connect these dots. The state math coordinator also has a very personal story. She was affected by a traffic crash. Her daughter was 19 and lost one of her good friends. They were driving, fell asleep behind the wheel, and didn't have a seatbelt on and died as a teen. So she had a vested interest in this project too, and she suggested building an algebra curriculum using the crash data dashboards. And then we also needed the teachers' help to get the word out to other local teachers to let them know this resource exists. But we also had help from a local credit union, Horizon Credit Union, to give us some grant funding to help this project get off the ground. And then Josie was a part of the team that helped develop the curriculum.
Thanks, Jillian. So like Jillian said, Kathy Beals is our Idaho math coordinator at the state. And so Kathy was so excited about the idea of using math as a tool to encourage teens to be safe drivers. And so she dove right into it, reaching out also to the regional math specialist, Josh Watson, to give some additional support for the team. And then through the Idaho Council of Teachers of Mathematics, they sent out an email to all the teachers involved in that community asking for who would want to be involved in developing some lessons to help make students safer drivers using Idaho crash data. And so, as you can see, I was one of the ones that was on that team, as well as Dan, Danielle, and Aaron, who are all Idaho educators. And we came together in order to make the Idaho streets safer through math. To do that, we developed the Do the Math, Save a Life teacher curriculum. And here's a little video introducing that.
Math is everywhere, at the airport, the grocery store, and especially on our roads. The math in your textbook can keep you safe when driving. Here's how the Idaho Transportation Department uses math to make us all safer. Every time a crash happens, police send a report to the department's data specialists, aka the crash team, a group of people whose job is to keep records of every single crash in Idaho. The crash team reviews the incoming reports and combines them with all the crash data from across the state. They typically process more than 26,000 crash reports each year. Once they input the data, it's analyzed and shared with many traffic safety professionals who use it in different ways. Engineers use this data to help set speed limits, time traffic signals, or make other changes to the roads you drive on. Planners use this data to determine when and where to build new roads, including to help prioritize the funding of those projects. Police use this data as they plan activities to get unsafe drivers off the roads. It can even be used to help plan safer routes to school. This data is used every day to make our roads safer. Now it's your turn to do the math and save a life.
So this video is a tool to introduce students and teachers to the Idaho Crash Data Dashboard and think about where is that relevance? Why do we care about this data? And really tie it into this data is actually being used every day to make our roads safer. And now we're trying to put this data in the hands of teenagers to not only make their driving practices safer, but also to potentially, if they go all the way with these materials, to talk to the Idaho Transportation Department and local leaders in transportation about ways they think they could improve the safety of the roadways. We developed 6 lesson plans across our team, the first one being just a scavenger hunt getting to know the data dashboard, and then the other 5 lessons really digging into the math related to analyzing the data. In our website resources, we also have a more specific layout of what those math topics are and all of the resources that teachers can access. One of the things that we really wanted to prioritize was the versatility of using these materials for teachers. So all the lessons can be done as standalone lessons that teachers can insert into their curriculum where they see fit, or they can be done sequentially as a unit. It was really important to us that these materials be accessible to as many teachers as who wants to use it. And because teachers are in such a variety of settings, we wanted to make it so that no matter what setting they were in, they would be able to implement this while addressing standards that they already had to address in 9th grade Algebra 1.
Okay, so we had all of those materials on our website, and it was a Google Drive, right, Josie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that the teachers could just go on and download all the materials very easily. But we launched this program in August, and our media contractor had helped us get all those materials online and look really creative. We also made a poster, and then the video that you just saw has been a big hit because it's quick, and it's just a great synopsis of how we use crash data in how it helps in so many ways. But again, we launched the program in August when math teachers around the state were all in Boise for a state conference before the school year kicked off, and they learned about the lessons and the whole Do the Math program there at that conference. But part of the conference included a field trip to our transportation department. And again, the question, how do we use math in the real world? So we introduced them to 3 different career paths within our department with professionals who do the math for a living. We had a materials lab tour on the left, in the middle was a bridge design lesson, and then on the right was one of our pilots in the Division of Aeronautics giving a lesson on flight mathematics. So teachers got to see and experience how the different types of math they're teaching students can be used in real life careers, and they can help answer the question when kids ask them, when am I going to use this? They can say, hey, here's 3 jobs right here that you can use this. As far as our public outreach and news coverage, our public information officer sent a joint news release out ahead of the conference explaining the program, all of the wonderful partners, and we invited media to come to that field trip portion of the conference, and we did receive some great news coverage. Josie was interviewed and did a great job. But yeah, and then as far as social media, to get the word out, LinkedIn has been our tool of choice. We also, of course, posted it organically on Facebook, but LinkedIn is really what we've been using to target educators. We ran 2 LinkedIn ads. In February, Josie and I did a webinar with AASHTO Wear Safety. So one of our ads was ahead of that webinar, encouraging people to register for the webinar. We targeted educators. And then we ran another ad after that with a link directly to the website. And we kept that going through spring. But the second ad, with that result, we saw 650 page views with more than 430 of them new users. So we're hoping that means quite a few teachers are using this curriculum. I think we're going to try reaching out to, we have a lot of homeschoolers in Idaho, so every opportunity we get to spread the word about this and let all our community partners know that it exists, we've been doing that to try to get the word out.
And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what students had to say when I used this in my classroom. So One Stone's mission is making students better leaders and the world a better place, which is a big reason why I got involved in the creation of these materials. Because, and like we heard with earlier speakers and we'll hear with Joel, when we put making change in the hands of students, a lot can get done when we really trust and empower them with those tools. When students were just initially exploring the dashboard, some of the first things they did was they looked at places that were relevant to them. So I had some students discussing, One Stone is in downtown Boise, so students will be walking around downtown. So here you can see a discussion of students looking at the dashboard and thinking about places that they walk and the pedestrian related crashes in that area. One of my favorite comments was, geez, 13 in Maine is almost all of these. Don't ever drive on Maine. Similarly, students would go and look at the map area around their home, and you would hear them discussing safe driving habits around areas that they frequently drive. One of our activities is about analyzing the crash factors in local areas. So they pick 2 areas to look at the crash factors and compare the relative frequency of them. And some comments that students were making as they did this material was being surprised of how common tailgating was as a factor for accidents, as well as distracted driving. And one common observation that students were making was that these things were both more common than driving under the influence when it came to fatal crashes in their area.
Okay, so the program launched in August, just at the beginning of the school year. This article was published in February. This is from the Idaho State Journal in Eastern Idaho, and we are so excited. Independence High School in Blackfoot is using the Do the Math lessons, and several students took their findings and concerns to the Blackfoot City Transportation Committee and are really making a difference in their community through this program. So Independence, it's a small alternative high school in very rural Eastern Idaho. When the students were ready for their final safety presentations, which is part of the curriculum, the teacher, Shelley Nash, she invited city leaders to come watch and grade the students. And so the leaders were so impressed, they invited the students to present further to the full City Transportation Committee, which is really cool. But the students identified 7 intersections with safety concerns, but what is so great is the conversation at that committee meeting turned into a discussion of solutions. What can we do to improve this? What kind of safety changes can we make? So the mayor said he's going to look into each of these areas further and see what kind of changes the city can actually make within their jurisdiction. So, so great to see the benefits of the program and just a full circle moment and the initiative these students took. It's just really cool to see it all in action.
Yeah, and just on that note, this is like the dream, I think, of our team when we were making these materials. The capstone lesson 6 has a variety of different modifications depending on the amount of time teachers have to engage in it, but the full version of it really encourages them to reach out to local leaders to present solutions that are data driven. And so it was really, really cool to see that people were doing that. What we hoped was actually becoming a reality.
All right, and so if you ever want to look on the materials, those are the websites for the actual lesson plans and the crash dashboards too. Of course, we'll be around for questions too. Thank you.
What an excellent program. Really good to see. Power to the youth, I shall say. So, last, we have Joel Feldman. Following the death of his daughter, Casey, by a distracted driver in 2009, Joel created enddd.org, End Distracted Driving, and has developed science-based distracted driving presentations, as well as other resources used by businesses, schools, and community groups and educational initiatives. Mr. Feldman coordinates a network of speakers who have presented to nearly 500,000 students across the U.S. and Canada, all without cost to schools. Mr. Feldman is a partner at a Philadelphia law firm, and after Casey's death, he obtained his master's in counseling from Villanova University. Joel.
It's so wonderful to be here and to follow these guys. I mean, the kids doing incredible things. I have been blessed since, let me just start this thing here. I'll just start here. This is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about new programs, but some new strategies. I mean, this is communications track. This is a first for me. I'm pretty much always in the distracted driving track, and it kind of makes sense because how do we talk to people? How do we frame why we shouldn't drive distracted? So we've got new programs, a K through 1 distracted driving picture book, which I have some of these I can give out to you, and it's a blast talking to little kids about distracted driving. And then we've got a 2 through 5 distracted driving lesson plan, and then so those are new, and then we have new strategies, how we're talking with teens and actually adults too about distracted driving, what we think is working, and I'd like to share with you. But of course that's our daughter Casey. My wife Diane is in the front seat here. That's our daughter Casey. She was killed by a distracted driver. When I go into classrooms and I go into assemblies and all, I usually start out with this and I just tell the teens, you have everything that Casey had in that photo. You have a life and you have a future. Of course, Casey doesn't have that because she's dead, and we want that for you. We want that for each and every one of you. That's why the school has brought us in. Saturday would have been Casey's 36th birthday. And you know, we remember her with smiles and of course tears, and it's always Lifesavers around Casey's birthday. And it's just so heartening to see folks here like you who are out there doing this, working to make people safe. And there are a lot of folks in this room who've lost family members. And you guys are it's so supportive, it just makes it right. I mean, we tell our families stories because we want to remember them. Telling the story is a way of making that connection, keeping that connection. And in telling their stories, we hope that we save lives, and that's why with you, the professionals, we're just so thrilled and so thankful, and I wanted you to know that. So here's our K through 1 distracted driving picture book. This is Sam. Sam is a meerkat, and Sam teaches kids about using I statements. I don't feel safe, Mom, Dad, when you drive me and look at your phone, and not you statements. You're going to cause a crash. You put the phone down, that kind of thing. In some schools, in elementary school and middle school, they're teaching the difference between I statements and you statements. Interpersonal communication, I statements get the job done. You statements, you get kind of defensive. You're going to cause a crash. No, I'm not. Tell people how you feel. How do they argue with you? I don't feel safe. So we're teaching kids to recognize when mom and dad are driving distracted, to voice their concerns using I statements. We're also teaching them about the move-over laws. I'll take a quick divergence here. My wife and I were at an event in Pennsylvania marking when they raised the penalty for a violation of the slow-down, move-over law from $500 to $1,000. I have these pink wristbands I give out. Pink was Casey's favorite color. I wear pink whenever I talk to remember Casey. And there's this enormous tow truck, because tow truck drivers are being killed out there, highway construction workers, police, fire. And you can tell looking at this banner that a young man is dead. You see his face, you see the year of his birth, the hyphen, the date of his death. A little kid asked me for a wristband, 5-, 6-year-old little kid. He gets the wristband, he thanks me so polite, he looks up at that banner. That's my daddy, he's in heaven. And that did it for me. So I talk about slow down, move over law wherever I go. And we need to do that because the kids are not being taught that. They don't know it. The parents don't know it. We at least hope the kids are learning. But we're going to change that. We're going to change it. And I'm optimistic. I want you guys to know I'm really optimistic because I work with kids. So that's the cover of the book. We're having so much fun with Sam. And it's kind of Dr. Seussy. This is the slow down, move over part of it. It's Dr. Seussy, it rhymes. One of Casey's friends is a Philadelphia school teacher, and she's helped us out with that. And her husband's the illustrator. I've actually had 3 people come up to me and they saw the book, and they said, I've got a great idea. Would they be willing to do another book? So I think we're going to be some more books. And construction workers as well, because they're getting killed on the highway also. And of course, as I said, tow truck drivers. And see on the side of it, it's slow down, move over, slow down, move over. So we have that's K through 1. We have the elementary school lesson plans, which were worked on with elementary ed content developers. And a couple of weeks ago, I did 3rd through 5th grade in an elementary school in northern New Jersey. 260 kids in a gym on the floor. What a blast. I mean, I like talking to adults. Don't get me wrong, guys. I like talking to adults. I love talking to teens, but it's outer limits talking to the little kids. What can I tell you? They're incredible. They're incredible. But it's a 30-minute, generally it's SROs, school resource officers, or the teachers do them, or if they want me to come in, or volunteers, or we're willing to come in too, because it's fun. And we have a recorded version of it online, but people actually, you do things and you wonder why you did it. No one ever uses it because they want to do it themselves. But that's what we have in a facilitator's guide to kind of make it easy for the teachers. I will tell you, here in Colorado, we kind of live between Philadelphia and Colorado. Our son's in Boulder. And I reached out. We do a lot of programs with the University of Colorado Boulder. And we reached out to them, to the elementary ed students. The department said, hey, can we give some of your students who are assigned to elementary schools $100 gift cards if they'll go in and do the presentation? And we had 17 takers, and I just got an email from one saying she's going to use the gift card because she's graduating to set up her first classroom during the summer. So that was kind of neat too. Just different ways of getting it out there. Discussion points and all. And it's a fun kind of PowerPoint with some embedded videos. And I'll just play one of the videos in here now, just to give you an idea of it. The very last slide of the presentation is links to everything, and it's all online, and everything's free.
My teachers are fine. I love Mr. Burke and Mrs. Smith. But the problem is Mr. Burke is a student teacher, and she doesn't know how to teach that well yet. So we're still...
Uh-oh. What's this? Mom's phone is a distraction, and distractions make it dangerous.
My teachers right now, they're pretty amazing. We're not getting much homework. Mom! Mom, you're not driving safely.
How about we try that again?
Mom, it scares me when you're driving and looking at your phone at the same time.
What comes next?
Maybe I should send that text for you, Mom.
Or I can. Can I, please? Or can I add an emoji at least?
Sorry, guys, you're right. I should really be watching the road.
I'll text him that you call him when we get to the store.
Can we get chips?
And we gave the elementary school lesson plan to a school in, I always get Loveland and Longmont, Loveland, Colorado, Highland Elementary. And afterwards, the kids did more projects, and they actually created PowerPoints. And 2 weeks ago, pending in Colorado right now is a hands-free legislation. They actually went into the legislator. They got the ability to go in there and talk with staffers and presented their PowerPoints in support of changing the law. So I'm going to tell you something, just your heart warms when you see what these young people can do. It's just incredible. All right, you're my audience now. I want to think about how do we talk about distracted driving? How do we think about it? Because clearly we need to do better, right? I'm sure we'll all agree. I'm going to play this video, and I'm going to ask you guys for your reactions. Yell them out. One word. Crazy, what? Terrifying? Dangerous, awful? Idiot? I heard, wait, I heard something over there. It began with an S. Could you stand up? Whoever said that? Wow. Selfish. Let me show you something. I show this in adult present, thank you. And I show this in businesses all the time. These are my collection of responses. I'm going to click it again. Let's see what happens when we organize it. This young woman is the first adult, and I've shown this to 10,000 adults, the first adult who's ever said anything in the student column. So thank you, and you think very, very young. Let's give her a round of applause. Yeah. I knew distracted driving was dangerous before Casey was killed. I'm a personal injury attorney in Philadelphia. I drove distracted. My attitude was it was okay when I did it, but I don't want to see the guy in the next car doing it, right? We want the people in the car next to us to be looking at the road, not at their phones, yet we drive distracted. I'm positive that if someone had told me before Casey was killed that what I was doing was selfish or disrespectful, would have made all the difference. They're not talking about my driving, they're talking about me as a person. It took me 6 months after kids telling me this for finally to hit in my head, duh, Joel, you're onto something here. The teens are right, they're holding the driver accountable. We need to hold the drivers accountable. Who here wants to be thought of as being selfish? Who here wants to be thought of as being disrespectful? Those are not my values. I am not a selfish person. I was a selfish person when I drove, but I am not a selfish person. I'm not a disrespectful person. If it's not consistent with your values to be selfish or disrespectful, then maybe we should put the phones down. So this is one thing that we're working on, and we have some studies to show with some surveys that we're actually moving the needle on this as well. I'm not going to talk about the survey results and all, but we've been fortunate to have the U.S. Department of Transportation help us with pre- and post-presentation surveys. Nationally, we got really good results in a project I just completed with the State Highway Office of Delaware. Really good results again. Kids are putting the phone down. Kids are speaking up using I statements. Kids are speaking up to mom and dad. And actually, the pre-distracted driving of moms and dads actually went down. So the child-to-parent intervention, if you will, was successful as well, which was neat. So, yeah, it's values. I think we need to talk more about values, and I think that's the way that we can kind of change the way we look at distracted driving, and our goal is making it socially unacceptable. I completed a bunch of focus groups. I did one here at Boulder Prep in Boulder, New Jersey, Delaware, some other places, just asking kids, talking to kids about what would get you to put the phone down. Mom, and I couldn't live with myself if I killed someone else. That's overwhelming, and working with the National Distracted Driving Coalition, Kelly Browning from Impact Teen Drivers and her folks, we're doing one as well, and we found that one again. I couldn't live with it if I killed or injured someone else. So, what's in a date? Over the last 6 months, I've had 3 men come up to me after presentations with tears in their eyes, and they just give me a date. That's the date they killed someone while driving, and they've never gotten over it. And we never would. We need to talk about that. What would that be like? What would that be like? So we can have folks who come in, maybe some of you remember Reggie Shaw, who used to come in and talk about his killing of 2 drivers, the most wonderful young man you'd ever see. And he'd ended by saying, "You don't want to be me. You don't want to be me." All of you guys are driving now. I do this with adults, I do it with teens. All of you are driving, you don't have your phones on Do Not Disturb while driving, and Do Not Disturb while driving is a message we have to get out there. But you're looking at your notifications. This is you, I want you to be with me now in the driver's seat. You look down at a notification, you hear something, you hit something, you're not sure what it is, you don't see anything, and you hear this noise. You slam on the brakes, you open up the car door, you get out, you look around, at first you don't see anything, and there you see this little boy under the car. He was crossing the street in the crosswalk, and because he was so little, he didn't go on the hood of your car. You sucked him underneath the car. You dragged him down the road underneath your car, and he's paralyzed from the neck down. Well, think about that for a moment, that being you, and how you'd live with that, and how you'd get over it. I've now worked with about 25 people who killed or crippled while driving distracted. Most come to me through the court systems to do their community service hours. And I ask them, what's the worst thing about it? They'll never say the jail time. They'll never say the loss of a license. It's always, I want to go back to that day. I want to make a difference, and I can't. I can't undo it. And they'll never be the same. We need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. Psychologists call this anticipatory regret. Anticipatory regret. I know lots of, oh, God. I know lots of moms who are devastated, including my wife. And some who are sitting here. Pink was Casey's favorite color, so I've got a pink wristband to remember her. Look at all these others. Dead kids. Dead kids. If we had more time, I could actually tell you the excuse that killed most of these. But let's go on. My mom would be devastated if I was killed. Death notifications, that's what we're talking to kids about. Death notifications.
These are the shears I'll use to cut through your clothes. This is the table where I'll put your purse, your wallet, your jewelry, your phone. This is the clock where I'll mark the time. This is the bag I'll wrap around your body. And this is the room where I'll tell your mother you're dead. Put down the phone. Pay attention to the road.
Well, actually, some of you here are probably very fortunate and you still have your moms alive. So I'm going to do what I do in the kids class. Some of your moms, some moms find this difficult, but I used to do, well, I'm actually going to start doing death notification trainings again for police officers in Pennsylvania. I did those with MAD before the pandemic, and they want me to do those again. And I always ask the police officers, what do you remember about it? And last week, NHTSA was kind enough to have me kick off Distracted Driving Awareness Month in D.C., and the chief of police of Baltimore County was there, and he's done a ton. I said, what do you most remember about the death notifications? And he said, the moms scream. All right, kids, each and every one of you has the power to keep your mom from suffering, each and every one of you. This is what the police tell me, what happens all the time when they go to your mom's house, your mom and dad's house in the middle of the night, and they notify them you're not coming home. We pull up in the middle of the night, we leave the lights flashing because we want the parents, after we knock on the door, to look out the window and see it's the police. We want them to open the door. We know the moment your mom gets to your bedroom and sees that you're not in bed because we hear the scream. It's a scream unlike any scream you've ever heard. It's more like an animal, and it gets louder and louder and louder as she's running to the door, and the door opens, and we don't even have to say anything. She knows that you're dead, and her life will never be the same, and you have the power to keep your mom from going through that. How important are your moms to you? How important are they? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 not important, 10 off the charts, how important are your moms to you? They always answer 10. Will you do this for us? Will you do this for us? We have a project now we're going to start for Mother's Day. We did a survey of moms. What would be the best gift your teen could give you for Mother's Day? Flowers, candy, jewelry, or promise to drive safely, including not driving distracted. Of course, it's off the charts for that one, right? So we're going to be asking the kids to pledge for Mom as the best gift ever for Mother's Day that they will not drive distracted. And here's a...
What I want for Mother's Day, I can't have. My daughter, Casey. She's dead. She was killed by a distracted driver. But you can give your mother what she wants most for Mother's Day. She just wants you to be safe. Promise her that you'll put your phone away when you get behind the wheel. And promise her that you'll speak up if you're a passenger and your driver is driving distracted. It'll be the best Mother's Day present ever.
We're going to need some help getting that out to teens. And so here are the links, and I think with that, I'll sit down. Thank you, guys. Thanks so very, very much.
Wow, thank you, Joel. Really powerful. Okay, turning it over to the audience for questions. Raise your hand. We'll go around with a mic. For any of our panelists, one of the points of these presentations is to get you to bring back their information, what they're doing to your own communities. They're here to share, they're here to give. So please take them up on their offer. Yes.
I just want to say thank you to all of you, and Joel especially. I saw you at the NHTSA Communications Forum in the fall and really took back those I statements. That's very powerful to speak up as a passenger, so thank you for that. For the women from Idaho, I'm curious, with the Highway Safety Office funding, who did the funding go through, who executed that grant, that contract, that award? I love that program.
We used private funding to get it off the ground. The credit union supported it. That's what, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Nora Anderson. I am local to Denver, work with Sam actually. So a couple questions. First of all, thank you all. Those were all really incredible presentations. Question for you, Tom. You mentioned, and this is a quick question, the study of crash rates going down when murals are present. Where did you find that information? I'm just curious. I'd like to look into it.
Are you addressing this to me?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember what I said that you're referring to.
Oh, so there was a study that you mentioned about crash rates going down by 50%.
Oh, okay, yes, in intersections where they had put the street murals.
Yes.
That was a Street Blogs, which is a publication online that highlights research. So that was from their June 2022 edition.
Awesome,
okay.
Thank you, that's awesome. And then next quick question just on the schools programs. I don't know much about lesson plans, so if you introduced this in August, was it like applicable to happen within the next school year, or how far out, like realistically, should you expect to be able to introduce this to a teacher for them to then implement it into their standing lesson plans?
Yeah, so we introduced it in the beginning of August, and I think it was prepared well enough that teachers could take it as is and put it into their curriculum. So it depends on the individual teacher and the curriculum that they're working with, but if you introduce it before the school year starts, that usually gives them enough time to decide where they're going to put it in. If you wait until it's like they're about to do that unit, then it's hard for them to change what they've already got planned out. So definitely before the school year or over Christmas break can be okay, but before the school year is what I'd recommend.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much, everyone. That was really informative.
Good morning. Carol Lucio with SAD. I want to thank all of you for your presentations. I picked something up from each and every one of you, and I'm excited to take them back to my traffic safety offices and talk about implementing things. And Joel, thank you for all you do in honoring Casey, and I'm really sorry that you have to do that. But I do want to ask on the math thing, you talked about the capstone projects. I'd love to hear maybe one or two examples of what some capstone things have been that have come as a result.
So the capstone piece is just sort of the final lesson, and the goal is to take the data that they've analyzed in the earlier lessons and to make an argument for which intersections are not safe and what we can do about it. I actually haven't even implemented that part yet in my own classroom, but the school in Blackfoot, Idaho is going to be the best example that we have of that, where they identified, 7 intersections that were unsafe and focused in on, based on that, what do they think is causing it to be unsafe and how can we address it? So the data is really to identify what is making this unsafe, and then from that, and from that school actually went out and did a street audit. So they went out to the street and looked at the intersection and collected some of their own data as well in order to make an argument for how to make it safer.
Hello, I'm Kel McBride with Impact Teen Drivers. I was wondering, as you guys were doing the curricula advancement in Idaho around math, if you heard about other curricula that are being designed for other disciplines, like history or art and things like that within school districts as you were doing that planning.
I think that we didn't really look into other curricula at that time, but I think that's one of the things that to me was really powerful about it was how cross-curricular it could be. And also I think there's a lot of opportunity with other grade levels as well. So no, but I can see how it would connect.
May I add something? Yeah, when you mentioned cross-curricular, with our 2nd to 5th grade lesson plan, we have some cross-curricular activities, and one of them, and again, it's suggested to me by teens, you know. I just listen to them and they tell me, and some teachers and all, and I usually get it right if I listen to them. Have the kids do a project, analyze why we should not call crashes accidents and we should call them crashes. It's unbelievable what 5th grade kids are doing. Unbelievable.
Anything else? Other questions? Okay. Well, let's give another round of applause to our presenters.